I'm Nedra Knurk, President of Futuro RGV, and today we are privileged to have members of the South Texas College Presidential Search Committee and the South Texas College Board of Trustees is seeking a new president following the retirement of Dr. Shirley Reed last January. She was the founding president, so this is a big deal. And from a small community college back in 1993, South Texas College has been a phenomenal success for our valley and for the many families who they have been enabled to reach for the stars in a way that they never dreamed was possible before. And South Texas College offers more than 127 degrees and certificates, including associate degrees in liberal arts, social studies, business, math, science, technology, advanced manufacturing, and allied health fields. And they are in you have 5 baccalaureate degrees, I believe. Okay. And it's the only community college in the state of Texas to offer 5 baccalaureate degrees, I believe, correct?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And I'm amazed. STC serves over 45,000 credit and non-credit students, and in 5 campuses and 2 higher education centers and 1 virtual campus. Now, am I correct on all those figures?
Mm-hmm.
Well, the only thing I would correct, Nedra, is that we are not the search committee. In fact, Mr. Gurwitz and I are members of the search committee.
Well,
it's a 16-person search committee. Ms. Benavides is the chairman of the board. We are 3 trustees of South Texas College.
Well, actually, I was going to get to that next. So you anticipated perfectly. So again, as Paul has pointed out, they are members of a really impressive search committee, but there are only 3 members of that search committee. But they are all on the Board of Trustees, and Rose is currently the president of the Board of Trustees.
Correct.
Paul is chair of the search committee, but he and Gary are both on the Board of Trustees. And Rose, you came on the Board of Trustees, I believe, in 2009.
That is correct.
Paul, you came on in 2012.
Yes, ma'am.
And Gary down there, he was with STC from the beginning.
Right.
He's an original board member from 1993.
They tricked him into doing it. They said, just be a few years, won't interfere with your work. And here you are all these years later.
It was, but I enjoyed having the money. The extra income was very, very helpful.
Well, we have been very, very lucky to have all of you and the people who are serving on this board really are of an impressive caliber, and you certainly represent, in my opinion, the best of the board. Now, before we go any farther, I want to thank our Futuro sponsors who support these community meetings, and that is Rhodes Enterprises, Clark Chevrolet, IBC Bank, Sam Garcia Architect, Frost Bank, DHR Health, Rio Bank, Valpeson, Ernie Williams, Code RGV, Copy Zone, and Upper Valley Mail Service. And these sponsors help us to present these RGV leaders with community issues and challenges, and we have all of these on our Facebook page for further viewing. So, and our Futuro RGV moderator, Davis Rankin,
I'm ready to go.
will discuss with these members of the STC Search Committee how the search is being conducted and where we are in the search process to replace the irreplaceable Dr. Shirley Reed.
Well, they
She's
better.
phenomenal.
She
And
better,
so, now Davis, I'll
she
turn
better
it
not
over
be
to you.
irreplaceable, but I certainly understand what you mean. The first one, the one who,
Okay, well,
the one
you're
who
on.
conceived of the role. How does the search committee operate? I mean, you get you get appointed, you accept the appointment. I guess the Board of Trustees makes the appointment. And you meet, and then what do you do next?
Well, the search committee is really the result of our effort. It's part of the process, Davis. The first thing that the board did, frankly, when Dr. Reed's retirement was formally announced, was start talking about where do we go from here.
Yeah.
And really, this started with our effort to have the Association of Community College Trustees organization assist us. We actually, it was, I think, a 2-month process of reviewing the kinds of things that they did. They are the preeminent organization that supports community colleges in the country. And this is one of the many services that they offer is providing guidance, consultation, and helping community colleges replace key administrative positions like a CEO. And so the board really deliberated probably 2 months, a little bit over 2 months.
Probably a little bit over 2 months.
In
yeah.
making that primary decision of choosing them, and there was a fee involved. It was a $45,000 fee to provide the service. And so really they have been our guide. They have done this many, many times all over the country and in the state of Texas. And so the creation of a search committee is part of the program that they offered us. They provided a timeline. They provided consultation on this. These are the things that we recommend you do. You don't have to do them, but this is the general process. And for the most part, I don't think we deviated very much from the plan that they proposed. And so one of the primary things was the creation of a search committee, for one, but also the creation of a presidential profile. And so the presidential profile was actually put together, again, under their leadership, their guidance, in creating 4 opportunities. Again, normally this would have been in public, it would have been in a public gathering, but this time it was done on 2 different days, and it was done via Zoom. The community was invited to participate. Anyone could join in on the Zoom, and we had actually over 150 people during those 4 sessions that provided guidance. And so they had questions in terms of, what are you looking for? Yeah. What are your expectations? What do you think they should, this individual should be like? What qualities should they have? And really the profile came up as the primary thing to do. By this time we had selected a search committee that also participated in these Zoom meetings and heard firsthand the feedback from those Zoom sessions. So ultimately a profile was created, and that's really, for the lack of a better word, perhaps one that would be better is a job description, which would be used for people that were interested in pursuing the position.
This is what we're looking for.
And so our consultants at ACCT, led by Dr. William Holda, who is very experienced in this type of work, former CEO of Kilgore Community College for many years, and this is one of his post-retirement activities. So we got the value of his expertise in getting ready for a profile and creating the committee. Now the search committee is in charge of reviewing the applications, ultimately interviewing semifinalists, and then recommending a group of finalists to the Board of Trustees who will make the ultimate selection. So we ended up with a 16-member search committee comprised of individuals from both counties, Starr and Hidalgo County. We had students. We had 2 students that held government leadership roles at STC here in Hidalgo County and Starr County. We also had faculty members, administrators. We had business people from both counties, and a few other significant individuals, like, for example, Mayor Jim Darling agreed to serve. We had Mr. Keith Patridge, the CEO of the McAllen Economic Development Corporation, with whom we do a lot of joint work with, especially in workforce development and training.
He has talked a lot about the role this college plays in training people to take the jobs they're attracting.
We had Mr. Sergio Contreras, who is the chair of the Rio Grande Valley Chamber of Commerce. We have Mike Pettis, the current city manager of Westaco, former city manager of McAllen. Bonnie Gonzalez, who is the former director of the Empowerment Zone and is now has done other important things in the Rio Grande Valley and others. So it was a very, very solid group of individuals that
Yeah.
are already participating. And at this particular point today, we've already, besides the Zoom participation we actually met on the 16th and reviewed those initial 35 applications. By the way, let me point out that as Board of Trustees, we have 3 members on that search committee. Besides Mr. Gurwitz and myself, we also have Mr. Rene Guajardo from the easternmost part of our county here in Hidalgo County, who's also the chairman of our finance committee. We were precluded from having more than 3 because of restrictions from the Open Meetings Act and things like that. If we
Yeah.
had 4 trustees on there,
You'd have to post
it'd be
everything.
considered a meeting.
Yeah.
So we had to certainly respect that situation. So of the 16, there are 3 actual trustees on that committee.
I think the interaction that STC has from the beginning had with the communities themselves, it's been such a cooperative venture. And that's, I think, very important to the success that you have had.
Well, if we have, I've forgotten, South Texas College, and it was South Texas Community College before that. Before that, it was Texas State Technical.
It was South Texas Community College,
Uh,
STCC.
But this used to be the McAllen campus of Texas State Technical College in Harlingen.
Right, but South Texas Community College was
Yeah.
not an offshoot of TSTC. It was actually formed
Yeah.
at South Texas.
But it's the
Community College.
evolution of a.
Yeah, but in order to move forward, when we were given authorization for baccalaureate degrees, we had to take community college because we were offering 4-year degrees. And so, I mean, but I think that what everyone has continued to do is reiterate and emphasize that while community may not be in our name, we're all about community. And you're absolutely correct. You know, a lot of the success that potentially goes unnoticed and it is quite mundane for us because it's something we're accustomed to seeing. It translates well because people know that this is a college they can come to for any kind of training, whether it's a credential, a certificate that gets them into the job force, or whether it's their way of starting or saving 2 years of college and close to $200 million in the last few years that we've had dual credits for and early college high schools for close to 4 or a little over 40 high schools in our 2-county area. There is always something that the college can offer. During the pandemic, we've been a very quiet and strong partner for testing and vaccination, using our nursing students, using our sites as locations. We do things that we know people expect from an area that charges them taxes.
Rose, I think that your mention of your interaction with the high schools in the area, to me, is one of the most impressive things that we are doing at STC. All my years at Indiana University, we were a community campus, and we did not have those kinds of interactions. We had them, but not on the scale that you are doing them now. And for this kind of a community in the RGV, that is so critical.
No, you're absolutely correct. I mean, there's a big difference between touting a college-going culture and actually creating it. And that's exactly what the dual enrollment has done, from allowing students to see college as an everyday event for them while they're in high school, to quite frankly being a cornerstone of financial security for someone who now only potentially has to worry about 1 or 2 years of paid tuition if they don't qualify for financial aid. We've led the country for a long time in the number of students, and we go throughout the country and talk about this, and some colleges have a couple hundred, less than 100, and they just are floored when we talk about, at our peak, we've been at about 15,000 dual students annually, and we're glad to see that we've not only led the way in the area, but throughout the country, and you see now UT RGV going in the same direction, which I think for us validates quite strongly the veracity and the rigor of our dual enrollment classes, and that you can achieve someone doing 60 Now I think they're offering 77 hours of college credit using the same professors without potentially compromising the level of education that they're receiving. So yeah, we're glad to see that people are following suit.
For the longest time, the Rio Grande Valley, South Texas, was always considered a drain on the state of Texas's effort to provide the best education possible to its citizens. And I will tell you that as it relates to dual enrollment, providing college credit to high school students, whether it be a dual enrollment credit program or early college high school, this region, Region 1, primarily consisting of Star and Hidalgo County, is number 1 in the state of Texas, well ahead of Dallas, Houston, San Antonio, Austin, to the point that number 2 is way behind number 2. We have more early college high schools. We offer more dual enrollment credit hours than anywhere else in the state of Texas.
Let me get, what were you, I mean, Dr. Reed was here forever. What were you looking for? Were you looking for something different? Were you looking at another stage or phase, or was she the founder and now you're going to build on that? And how? What are you looking for? And you all did put out a list of this is what we want. I know it's 5 years. You had to have a college degree and all that kind of stuff. So
You have to have a doctorate degree.
so besides having a doctorate degree, what kind of personality type or skill set or?
So, I think from that standpoint, we probably all have a particular idea of what this new chapter looks like. And I think that this year of virtual learning and a COVID break,
Yeah.
it really got us to reflect about what moving forward looked like. We knew we couldn't look back, and there's a lot of great history to look back to at South Texas College. But we also know that moving forward, we're needing to find a person that is not taking us to the next normal, but the new normal for us. Because as we continue to look at what learning looks like now, it is absolutely critical that we have a person who understands the history of the college and the strengths that it has, but that moves us in a direction that continues to set us apart from other colleges, especially in an area where we know that opportunity is always lacking, and that this has been a major source of access for them. And so we'll be looking for a president who shares that vision and who understands that that the status quo for us, however excellent and superior it may be when we're compared to other colleges, is never going to be enough for the college. And Paul jokes that that presidential profile, was asking everything but maybe walking on water. But he's right. We've got high expectations. But I think that is one of the reasons why this college has been very successful. That there has never been a tendency to settle, much less to be complacent about where we want the college to be.
You may have commented jokingly, Davis, that the irreplaceable Dr. Reed. We're not replacing Dr. Reed. We're finding our new leader, and that's the way that we are embracing this particular effort.
And I think, Gary, I believe you told me that this isn't just a regional or a national search. You actually are going international on the search.
We had some international applicants. We did. It's very interesting. We had quite a diverse group applying for this job, and we did have some international applications.
What do they like about it, or what made them?
Davis, this is
What do they see that we don't see?
This is a really good place for someone. They're coming into not a broken system. They're coming into something that is well known, that functions very well, has functioned very well, has done a lot of creative stuff that other community colleges have not done. And part of what the new person will have to do is to be able to comprehend all the things that we do and have done successfully, in order to then move on to what the next level, I think, is what Rose said. So this is a place you want to come to I think, further your credentials and your career. This is not as a stepping stone, but this is a place to be.
I absolutely agree with that.
You've got 5 baccalaureate programs, which are, as I understand, they're not like liberal arts. It's not a baccalaureate in English or something like that.
No, they don't.
You don't intend to compete, or there's no.
No, they don't. They don't compete with any university, any 4-year college. They are specific things that we do better.
Yeah.
We do better than 4-year universities, and that are unique to us, that are not taught in that fashion to that degree at 4-year universities. So we are not competing. But when they complete our baccalaureate program, they can go on to whatever. We're accredited. When we started offering the baccalaureate programs, we had to be accredited by the same national association that accredits the University of Texas in Austin, A&M, Texas Tech. We had to pass that same test because we then were offering 4-year courses, and we passed it, and passed it quite sensationally, actually.
Can you grow much? What's the student? It says here enrollment credit students fall of 2020 28,000. This is off the STC website. 28,000 students. Can you, or do you desire to grow more than that?
Yes, we do. We desire to serve the market. And if the students are here and want the education and the training, that's what we're here for. And obviously our success has been that there are a great number of people who want to do that and improve their standard of living and their way of life. And so we're here to provide a lot of that. We do it quickly, we do it very efficiently, and we do it very economically. And
if you go over, if you're president of University of Texas RGV or Texas A&M campus here, you have to deal with the legislature. I don't know how much. Does South Texas College have to deal with the legislature for appropriations and to get permission to do one?
Absolutely.
Yeah, check mark to
The same
all of
people
the
UT,
above.
RGV, and
Yeah,
A&M
same
have to deal
people.
with?
Same people.
a lot of times we're competing for the same money.
Right. The only thing we don't share that they do is tuition revenue bonds. It's the only thing that we don't get because we're not a university system. But appropriations, contact hours, enrollment, regular allocations.
Yeah.
As a matter of fact, right now we're working on or looking obviously very closely at the budget for this biennium because we're impacted. You mentioned a number for 2020, and obviously that has been one of the lowest enrollment numbers we've had in some time, and it was highly due to obviously COVID and the change of instruction. But one of the things that's probably important to point out is that the baccalaureate degrees that we offer are really industry and demand driven. And so we spend a lot of time with business ensuring that if we're going to go and open a baccalaureate program, it is based on an area where we know people will find jobs. And so, obviously nursing. No question. You got organizational leadership, you have hospital management and IT.
Plumbers and electricians.
Well, yeah, we have a technology baccalaureate that does that too. And so when you look at the areas that we currently serve, they're driven by areas that are not just a high demand for employers, but for employees. And so that's probably the biggest difference between what you'll find on the programming we have versus what universities do.
When you were talking about participation with state government, and if you look at the presidential profile, besides dealing with students, faculty, administrators, taxpayers, local government entities, we work a lot with the Texas Workforce Commission. We do a lot of joint training programs with them. We are ultimately under the same umbrella known as the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board. If you want to open a new campus in Hidalgo County, you got to get their permission. You want to do a new program, a new study, you want to open a medical school, a law school, the Texas Higher Education Coordinating Board has to approve it. We are extremely fortunate to have one of our very own here from McAllen, Dr. Fred Farias, who at last
Yeah.
time I saw is the vice chair of that critical organization, one of the best kept secrets, and he is one of the most powerful people in the state of Texas when it comes to higher education. We have to deal with the same board. We have to get their approval for all of our new programs. For example, the latest one, the baccalaureate in nursing, had to be approved by them. So
How can anybody dispute, I don't know if they do dispute, but how can anybody dispute that we don't need more nurses, nurse practitioners, people to come take the
well, it's
blood?
not. It wouldn't be a matter of disputing it, Davis. It'd be a matter of approving it and of saying, are you capable? Do you have the resources? And you have the expertise? Can you do this? And of course, in our case, it's because we already had an outstanding and very successful, rigorous nursing program to produce up to RNs. That was one of the things that we had to satisfy them with. So getting back to the presidential profile, you also have to be willing to deal with our legislators, deal with state government leadership, which was one of Dr. Reed's fortes. I mean, she was very well known in Austin.
She didn't strike me as somebody put up with nonsense.
Well, she, in her own right, and I think Gary may be able to address it better, was a very good politician.
She was very good. She was very good at everything she did. I tell you,
Could she disarm them? I mean,
one of the things that she did that I think was one of her best attributes was she was very prescient. She could see into the future. She wasn't what are you doing today? She was looking way down the line, and she came up with programs that I know this even before Rose and Paul were on the board, that we were saying, wait a minute, what are you talking about? Why are we talking about doing that now? She said, because this is where we're going, and this is what you're going to need. A good example to me is the deal in FAR.
Our regional,
regional
The
center?
regional
Public training
center.
police.
I
Regional
mean,
Public
she's
Safety
been on,
Excellence
she was on that for years, and we kept saying, well, we didn't really understand what was going on, and it is hugely successful and growing faster. And she saw that, she had the vision of that a long time ago.
Where were they training policemen before? It's
It
for
was-
police
a
law
lot
enforcement
of-
officers.
A lot of cities train their own, and I don't know if they contract out, but now we're getting incredible participation.
Boy, it's
And one
really
other
come to the
thing
fore
that-
too, the need for, well,
Everything that we do is done by local money, either local taxes or local fees. What is the public land money?
permanent utility fund.
Yeah, that's the one.
It's revenue derived from the oil
Yeah, but
production
I'm
of
trying to
state-owned
remember.
property.
I'm trying to think. Billions of dollars,
Yeah.
and we don't have access to that. to
well,
Texas
for
law.
that particular project, for example, it was part of our last bond program over 5 years ago. And the idea originally was it was a regional concept. We were going to work with primarily the city of FAR. City of FAR, PSA Independent School District, were our partners. They were providing land, other instruction resources, and it was designed to train people in law enforcement. Well, the next thing you know, because Dr. Reed and also Wanda Garza, to give her credit, not only brought in the state of Texas, but also the federal government. And so today, we're not only providing training resources for local police, fire personnel, emergency personnel, but also county, state. We provide state enforcement officials with more additional training, ability to acquire additional certificates, as well as the federal government. Imagine the Border Patrol,
The feds actually.
immigration, all of those now have a place where we have now developed it into even a racetrack, not a racetrack, but a driving.
Of course, really?
Course. We have facilities there that can simulate a robbery, a hostage situation.
That is a good.
And now we're hoping, again, only by being able to bring in other resources, local, state, and federal, of having a high-class, top-notch firing range, indoor firing range. And those things are not inexpensive. They're extremely expensive. And again, we starting off working with the city of FAR, PSA, and STC. That's where it started. And the next thing you know, we have that it's blossomed into that type of an operation.
My point was, this is something that
She saw.
Shirley saw way before anybody else.
So you are basically training not all, but a great many of the cities and counties down here in STC.
We're providing
at this.
them. We were providing them with access to that training.
Now, I
How
believe
how much they take advantage of it
Yeah.
is up to them.
McAllen has their own training
Yes.
facility, but they probably are one of the few cities that do have that.
Yes, and our relationship with them has developed well, and we're also assisting them with, for example, especially in this firing range.
Well, that-
Indoor firing
Indoor.
range.
Yeah, that
And
cooperative
that's the key, is the indoors,
work.
right?
Yes.
Because if you do it outdoors,
There's all kinds of problems.
you can't build the berms high enough, right? Yes. Yes, I did. I didn't know it was indoor, but you can't go rent it.
Well, we're
right?
not we're not there yet.
Oh.
We have the space. We're working on the design, and now we're working on bringing all the parties together to make it a reality.
Do you know if it's just going to be, because I've been to, there's an indoor range in McAllen. I don't know about the rest of the valley. And it's a place where you go shoot your guns to aim better, that kind of thing. But it's just a building. There's nothing fancy about it.
Well, it is not a simple operation. In fact, we're just now starting on the architectural design and technological requirements for it, because it would not just be for handguns. It would also be for
Right.
long rifles as well. And,
Wow.
And it would be it would embody the requirements that law enforcement would
Neat.
have.
But we would also have classrooms and
Yeah,
things
sure.
like that a regular shooting range would not have, that we need to have.
They have this in, I don't want to spend too long on this, but does Corpus have this, or San Antonio? It sounds like this is kind of a,
Or Brownsville and
Big
Cameron
deal.
County.
No, it's
You're
nowhere else. We
basically
don't-
Star and
Nowhere
Hidalgo,
in
but
this region.
I don't
is
know
this
about- we don't-
available in
I don't know about
Eastern?
Corpus, but
Right.
certainly in South Texas, in the valley, there's
Yeah.
something like it. And we're not there yet. This is where we're headed.
but it offers the
But-
prospect of better trained
Exactly.
men and women in law
Correct.
enforcement and fire departments, that sort of thing.
So that new president's going to come in and need to help us bring this thing to its fruition.
It's there. We're talking about the
Yeah.
development of it.
What else?
Right.
So did she gloat when when the trustees finally saw it? She said, I told you. You wouldn't listen.
No, she never gloated, and probably tried to make it sound like it was our idea all along, and that we really did. We really did.
I
Come
will
up
tell
with it.
if she ever gloated, in my experience, it was more a reflection of the pride that she had in that one of the primary goals of the college was economic development.
Yeah.
And being able to point to the fact that from the point that South Texas College began in 1993 to the present, if you track the level of unemployment and the growth in South Texas College, one went down while the other
Yeah.
one went up. I think if she was ever accused of gloating about anything, that was, I think, one of the things that she was the proudest of, that South Texas College has been a significant engine in the development of our economy in South Texas.
What needs to, if you do want to grow, what needs to be in place in order for that to happen? Well, I suppose I should withdraw that question, Your Honor, because it's not well formed. When do you think you'll have a choice?
Demand is what you're talking about.
Well,
If there's a demand, we fill the demand.
I was told a long time ago, and maybe in Dr. Reed, that in a college like STC, they figure about 50% will finish. There's going to be a 50% washout rate. But that's what it's supposed to give people an opportunity, knowing that some of them will not be able to finish. I had a friend who taught here, and he was frustrated. He understood why people would have to quit because they had to go to work or there was a problem at home. Is that true? Does that washout rate, or people who have to come back another semester? Is that?
You know,
It's a different function. We serve a lot of the same functions that a four-year university does, but we also
But this for work, people work for a
provide
living.
some unique functions. When you enroll at the University of Texas or A&M, you don't enroll as a part-time student
Yeah.
or you're there as a full-time student. Well, we have a lot of students who enroll because when they can, both as when they can afford it and
Yeah.
when they have time, and they get it done as they can, so that it might take a student to get a 2-year associate degree. It might take 4 years because they've got reasons to quit and come back. So it's a different metric. You can't compare the two.
You think they had, this is not a baiting question, but thinking probably the people in the legislature are all 4-year institution products, a lot of lawyers. Do they understand 2-year institutions?
You know, it's always a pleasant challenge to articulate the mission of the college in a way that both satisfies an academic and also a person who is familiar with economic development and workforce, because we try and walk that balance. And going back a little to the discussion about, you know, how do you manage to work an area where your student isn't potentially your average kind of student, you know, because there's so many other factors that play a role potentially on whether they go from point A to point B within the graduating timeline that we have artificially set on someone whose life you can't control. But I think what we've learned at the college is that being proactive and not reactive to that kind of student allows us to be a great place for them to be. You know, we've got a baccalaureate degree that currently works at someone's schedule, and with less than $10,000 you can get a 4-year degree, and it's based on your time frame, so that if in one semester you think you can complete, you know, 30, 40, 50 hours and you test out and on competency, then you're good and you move forward. And so you could conceivably finish a lot sooner. If it's going to take you 4 years to do this, then you're allowed to do that at your time. And I think that understanding that we're sometimes very fixated on graduation timelines and how does a person get there, is at the end of the day, our goal is obviously going to be, as a body and a college, to always increase our graduation rate and have completion. But the completion is very different from our perspective. We don't get credit for someone who comes to our college as a graduate of high school, just as an example, and takes a year and a half here because they don't feel potentially they're ready to go straight into the university and transfers out. You know, what that person generally will have an 80 to 90% chance of graduating university because they've moved on to a track.
I don't know if it's more true now. I would think most people watching this are familiar with life in the Rio Grande Valley.
Right.
You can't not know people like that.
Absolutely. And so this person, when they graduate the university, they count as a graduate for the university, but the time they've spent with us does not count as a graduation for us. And so you're absolutely correct. It's hard to understand the kind of student that we have, which is exactly why the policies that we try to initiate and the programming that we get excited about is when we can meet that student where they are versus them meeting us where we think they should be.
We can point to the fact that 2/3 of the graduates at UTRGV and UTPA have gone to South Texas College.
Really?
At the same time, though, we also know that we have a tremendous amount of people that still do not have a high school equivalency competence. And that is an area that we are right now very focused on. An area that I completely expect is we have our semifinalists. We're scheduled to have our 10 semifinalists come in Thursday and Friday of this week to be interviewed by the search committee remotely.
10
and
semis?
one of the challenges, I'm sure, one of the questions that we'll have.
Well, semifinalists is probably too generous. These are just the narrowed down from the original applicants. So yeah.
And one of the things will be, we have this population of individuals that desperately need to get that level of education as well. And that is part of our mission, is to address them, give them their opportunity to get their equivalency degree, and also offer them the opportunity to go on and participate in the other programs that we have to get them a certificate or an associate's degree. So that is one area that I know that we will definitely be expecting a new president to continue to see us address.
Yeah,
Do
absolutely.
I understand you to say that you're also working with people who need the equivalency for a GED?
Always, yeah.
So that's pre-college, and that is absolutely
well, what
critical.
we've done is work efforts to contextualize the GED and college credits simultaneously, so that someone can actually get a GED and get college credit at the same time, and
Which
then move
is
forward
comparable
to a
to
pathway.
what the high
Yeah.
school student is doing,
Correct.
taking dual enrollment.
That's
And
absolutely correct.
To me, that is
So you see
So
how we
critical.
deal with one end of the spectrum, and we're trying to deal with the other end of the spectrum. And then in there, by the way, we also love to work with companies that are already here, manufacturers, other companies that are looking at coming in here and wanting to provide them sometimes with very specific training programs, training opportunities to help their people qualify and train the kind of employee that they need. And for example, with the Texas Workforce Commission, it is constantly looking for ways to promote more job development. So it's a wide spectrum. And this individual that's coming in is going to see, yes, there's lots of great things in place, but we have lots of things that we still need to get done and expect leadership to help us get there.
When do you, maybe we can end with this, because we've been going for a while.
that's because they're so interesting.
I know, it's fascinating to me. When do you want to have a president selected and unveiled to the public?
The timeline is to have a person in place by July 1. So
wow.
Yeah.
this Thursday and Friday, we'll interview the 10 that we've narrowed the 35 to. Then we'll expect to bring in, we don't know. It all depends on what we think, whether it's maybe 8, maybe 3, maybe
Yeah.
we don't know until we actually get a chance to interact with them. Then that will be reduced to the true
Right. So
semifinalists of
after-
whatever that is.
Right, whatever
And then
that
those
number looks like.
individuals, it'll become public knowledge. And then they'll be interviewed in person, they'll be invited, and then the board will the search committee will be over, its mission will be done. And I know the main focus of this interview was supposed to be about them. And that's what they've done. They have participated in the development of the profile, assisting in bringing in applicants, seeing their applications, met some of them one way or the other, and finally said, ladies and gentlemen, these people we think Board of Trustees are the best for you to consider. And what that number will be, we have no idea.
Oh, okay.
So
So then
this-
it goes to the
Other than it's
trustees.
not gonna be more than
The
10.
search committee will conclude their job at the end of this week, and then the process actually will turn directly to the board for
When
the
do the
next
names
one.
become public?
Probably not till, it'll be a while. It'll be a few weeks.
Probably late May.
Yeah.
So you're not, they'll be here July the 1st, just as it
The
started.
goal is to have them
That's
in
the
place
goal.
July 1.
That's
That was
the goal.
And that was the timeline, again, that our friends at ACCT,
Yeah.
our consultants, again, I think, I have to say that so far they've done an excellent job. Mr. Hull in particular has been a tremendous guide for us, counselor, and we're very pleased with the way things have developed so far. And I think Mr. Gerwitz and I in particular, and only because Rose isn't on the committee, we've had a chance to see the caliber and the type of people that apply, and I think we're very excited about who our ultimate leader will be.
Thank you all for being with us. Thank you for allowing us to be with you. And
Yes.
I guess we're concluded.
We thank you for having us. Y'all do a great job educating the community, and we believe that with all that South Texas College does, we're still an unknown factor. We're still an underappreciated, understood entity, and anything that you can do to help us spread the word would be good for everybody.
And I would welcome any way that you think we could help you get out the information that needs to go out. STC is a jewel in the RGV. And any way that Futuro RGV can help you get that message out, just let us know.
Thank
We
you.
appreciate it.
Thank you.
We will plan on inviting you back maybe in June and for an update.
We want to thank you for being with us. We hope this has been as instructive and interesting for you as it is for Nedra and me. And I have to believe it's given you greater insights into the role of South Texas College, the role of community colleges, and where STC stands, the role it plays in the further economic and social development of the Rio Grande Valley. There's only one way to go, and that's up.